So I'm very, very sad here because I think that somebody decided at some point in the past to make me a political football. And somehow it was allowed to be moved forward in a manner that divested me of any humanity whatsoever. And that if anybody did actually have an emotional connection to me, or even see me as a human being, for whom one would just extend a specific kind of courtesy or consideration, were you to be aware that they were being subjected to persecution or chastisement. They agreed to forego that for me as an exception because of whatever the justification was. And the thing was that there were very powerful interests on an arbitrary divide. And the understanding was that whoever ended up acquiring the yield of this brinksmanship would be the beneficiary of something very substantial that might even engage or consider acts of warfare. And so both sides were willing to leverage a lot. And I have yet to be able to see anything about my self interest in this. And anything that gave me self interest put me in a position where I just refused to choose sides because there was no honor. And so now we're at the situation where I think I'm on the cusp of realizing that people that I would have willingly agreed to do something of that nature for, a lot of different people who might at least originally have thought they had competing or contrary interests, including diabolical interests, including mercenary interests, or including ones they thought were completely righteous and justified, sided for whatever reason. My humanity was not the point. I was very, very specific, means to an end, and maybe a unique one. And now I think we're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. You made me inhuman. The only thing I could do to survive is approximate something somebody else would identify as objectivity. In the lack of humanity that I've been given by anybody who would have seen a interest in taking a side, it would seem that that which I would have potentially preferred made certain choices, and perhaps will have to address the loss of significant consequences. Right? You're going to lose very, very substantially. Somebody played a genocidal political football game. And I knew this. I heard them. They expected Gaza to be completely genocided in 10 years. More than 10 years ago, by the way. They passed the 10-year mark rather recently. I thought maybe that foretold some sort of victory, but the intent on genocide was that comprehensive. And here's the problem. The cost was to try to use me as leverage to acquire some other genocide instead. That's how I understand it. I'm going to be honest. I have no other alternative that has been, by default, every affirmation of a value that is greater than the understanding that you're leveraging everything you have because you're confronting genocide. The silence defaults to that being the only option at the end of the day. And so every day, everything that occurs is at that level. And the refusal to say anything, and the refusal to acknowledge this in anything close to reason, regardless of whatever your justification is. It's actually really simple. There are so many times when it could have been really simple, but the bad will and the contrivance. And, and so it's one of these things. Maybe you would have preferred another presentation today, but it's at that level. It is absolutely horrible. What if I could have stopped a chemical weapon attack? What if I could have stopped a nuclear attack? What if that was what my life was supposed to do? And what if, for whatever reason, you decided to risk all of that for any other thing? You see, if you're going to expect a woman like me with my capability and my ambition and my passion and my abundance to agree to cede to your leadership, then it has to be able to take responsibility at that level, and I would cede. But there's nobody fit to command from that level. That's what you've showed me. You've denied me every fucking bit of humanity in any other fucking manner. And the only justification you can make is if, in fact, you are qualified to be at the helm at that level, and thus far, nobody has shown that they are. It's not about your title, your education. It's honestly not even about whether or not you got duly elected to political office. There are people have run for office that are much better helmsmen when it comes to addressing nuclear warfare than anybody currently elected. Let me tell you, I've seen it. But you default every day. You default every day to a nuclear holocaust that has its intent, the entire genocide, not just cultural, by the way. You got right down into the blood every day. So I'm just going to say that now, because every day you keep silent, and every day you try to do anything else, including, by the way, deal with the actual situation, the environmental factors, including the complete misrepresentation of the financial situation regarding the literal environmental factors. You got to understand. Don't have any other expectation. Don't have any other expectation. Don't have any other means by which to see it at the highest level of abject irresponsibility. And what do? I'm going with August 20th. I knew before it was reported. I knew days before it was reported. I'm going with August 20th of 2020. Now that would be a month. That would be 31 days after July 20th of 2020, right? But it would be 22 days after July 19th of 2020. I'm not giving you 23, and I'm not giving you 21.